Officials predict that there will be 217 million digital banking customers in the U.S. by next year. It's no surprise digital banking platforms and apps are on the rise. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa spoke with NerdWallet about the pros and cons of switching to online banking.
A new survey conducted online by NerdWallet and the Harris Poll finds bank customers still prioritize online and in-person services. While 57% of banking customers say online access is among one of the most important features to them, 53% still prefer physical branches. Elizabeth Ayola, a personal finance writer at NerdWallet, says the years of Fed rate hikes made more people take a look at online-only bank accounts because of the higher interest they could earn.
People are still interested in getting those good deals, but there are some people who are still conservative or who still have some mistrust around online-only banks in particular and prefer a brick and mortar bank, even if it means missing out on those savings.
The study found 12% of Americans are opening a savings account at a new bank to get a better interest rate. Ayola says a compound interest calculator can help you see what the difference would be if you move your money to an account that offers better savings. And if you're considering making the switch, she says keep in mind any fees you may be charged.
So some of these online banks will incentivize you with high maybe sign-on bonuses and things like that, but you want to think about whether there's a minimum balance requirement before making that switch. You also want to think about ATM access. So you may not be able to make those cash deposits that you're used to if that's something that you do.
If you do look at an online bank, make sure it's FDIC insured. That protects your money if there's a problem. Whether you love a traditional brick and mortar bank or you want to go online only, as with anything, look at the fees charged and shop around. Get the best deal for your dollars. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.